community policing and safety. I'm here to answer your questions and work with you to make our community a safer place.
Every Friday at 10 a.m., tune in to 88.5 Super FM for an informative and educational hour with Inspector Rennie.
Your concerns matter. Let's discuss how we can collaboratively enhance the safety and well-being of our town.
Police Forum with Inspector Rennie, bringing you the information and answers you need. That's every Friday at 10 a.m. on 88.5 Super FM. 88.5 Super FM, your voice, your lines.
A pleasant good morning once again, and welcome everyone to the Police Forum. I am your host, Inspector Kimroy Rennie. Let me take the opportunity to say good morning to all the wonderful persons who support and have been requesting the return of the Police Forum. Unfortunately, we were out for a few weeks, and that was primarily due to some personal matters which I was going through. So I have heard your calls, and we have decided that we need to come back on air to continue to educate all the people on the important policing matters, the activities, the events, the sensitization, the education of the public on police-related matters and all the things that impact us daily from a civil security perspective. Let me say a fantastic good morning to my team at the Soufrière and the Choiseul Police Station. Thank you for the support. Let me say good morning to my Sergeant Mark at the Soufrière Police Station and Sergeant Sylvia Smith at the Choiseul Police Station. Let me say a fantastic good morning to all my supervisors, Corporal Anthony, Corporal Taylor, Corporal Sonny at the Soufrière Police Station, Corporal Flavius, Mr. Pascal. A fantastic good morning. Without your support, I will not be able to do the excellent, or we, the police, would not be able to do the excellent work that we continue to do on a daily basis. Let me say good morning to my cleaners, both at the Soufrière and the Choiseul Police Station. They are the ones who keep us clean and keep our facility, in a condition that we are able to operate. And I want to say good morning to Mr. Alsey, who does a fantastic job at the Soufrière Police Station. Also, Ms. K at the Choiseul Police Station, who on a daily basis come in. And those are the things that, people don't see, and they don't understand how important those things or those persons are to the operations of the police station and the police department. Let me say a fantastic good morning to my colleagues on the waterfront, my friends, my associates, my critics, my supporters, the people who on a daily basis we interact with and who would bring about and tell us the things that the changes that they want to see, the improvements that they want to observe, and some of the areas where we have fallen short. I think it's important that we accept the criticism, the constructive one, and that we try our best to every day enhance and develop our policing strategies and policing approaches and the customer service that we give to the public. So I want to say good morning to Mr. Gustave, good morning to Mr. Riviere, good morning to Mr. Alsey, aka Father at the SRDF, Miss Jessica George, who is our port officer. Let me say a fantastic good morning to you. Let me say good morning to the staff of Bunker St. Lucia, Mrs. Martina Donnelly, who is doing a fantastic job as the branch manager. Let me say a fantastic good morning to you and your team, Mrs. Gidhari, and all the other persons who provide a very, exceptional banking service to the people of Soufriere and work in partnership with the Soufriere Police. Let me say good morning to Cool Breeze and to the Ruby's gas station, Soufriere service station. Let me say good morning to you. Let me say good morning to Mystic Mentors, who is a big supporter of the Soufriere Police and have supported us in all our ventures, all our activities, our fundraisers, and we ask you to continue supporting us as we have big and better things planned for the year for Soufriere. We're looking at our food drive, our Feed the Poor drive, and our community engagement activities. We look forward to that. Let me say good morning to the SRDF and the SMMA, partner agencies who we work with daily, to make life a lot better for Soufrierians and to make Soufriere the ideal vacationing, liming, entertainment area. Soufriere continues to be, one of the primary entertainment, one of the primary liming area, and we ask that everyone continue to contribute towards this and towards enhancing the aesthetics, enhancing the, the feel, the vibe in Soufriere. So let me say thank you to everyone. Let me thank Mr. Nehemiah St. Jean, the manager at the Soufriere Mini Stadium. I think he has been doing a fantastic job, given that it is the second term where we have all our sporting facilities. And this year it has been a bumper year as it relates to sporting activities in Soufriere. We continue to, host so many sporting activities. And today the special ed school, the Soufriere Special Ed, is hosting their sports meet today. Next week, I know we have the inter-district sports meet next week, Friday 14th. So we ask everyone to come and support and to, allow the children to enjoy themselves, show their worth and do what, and let us try to get the next Julian Alfred, out of the crop of young people who are participating in our sport activities. We have even bigger events coming up in the next few weeks. We have the Island Champs, which is formerly inter-district sports meet. It is scheduled for the 23rd of this month, at the Soufriere Mini Stadium. So we're going to have all the schools, all the athletes coming from all across the island, to participate in this major sporting activity in Soufriere. So I encourage every Soufrierian to support this activity and let us be in our best behavior. Let us try to encourage, that camaraderie, that spirit of, togetherness, and let us try to dispel all the negativities that will attempt to erode that fantastic environment that we have. So let me say thank you to Mr. St. Let me say thank you to the team responsible for the management of the Soufriere Mini Stadium, because this is creating an ideal environment for sports in Soufriere, and an opportunity for the vendors, and different persons who directly benefit from those activities. We ask that, let us continue doing the fantastic job. Soufriere is the only operational sporting facility, and we must create and give ourselves, a pat on the back for that. Let me say good morning to all persons who are listening on the live, all those who are in the diaspora. Let me say good morning to you and welcome again to Police Forum. I know it has been, a short hiatus, but we are back and we are going to be bigger and better, and, to continue to keep you educated and entertained, in everything policing, everything law enforcement. Let me say good morning to Andy Justin, who's saying good morning to us. Bevon Bat is saying good morning, good job, Soufriere. Thekla Headley, my sister, is saying good morning, Inspector Rennie. Good morning, Thekla. Michael K. Albert, good morning, Inspector Rennie. Well, he's expressing condolences. Thank you, Mr. Albert, for that. So let me say thank you, and let's work towards a fantastic 2025. Today, we have a very important topic to discuss, and this is on the heels of all the major activities that we've been hosting in Soufrière. And let me say good morning to Mr. Marthrin, Malcolm Marthrin and his partners who are in the process of, setting up one of our biggest events in Soufrière, which is our Easter Brunch Rise, that is scheduled for April Easter Sunday. We are looking forward to hosting these activities and many more activities. We are getting ready for the Jazz Festival. We are getting ready for Soufrière Carnival and maybe Journée Créole, so many of those activities that is scheduled for Soufrière this year. And the police have always, and it is my policing ethos, my policing mantra, that as a police department, we support all activities which we believe will contribute to the economic growth and development of our community, any activity that we believe will redound to crime reduction. And you may ask, how will the police support an event like Rise and supporting, Journée Créole and supporting Jazz and Carnival? How will that help in crime reduction? Because some of us only see the negatives where alcohol consumption, dangerous driving, but there is a bigger picture, right? And from an economic perspective, I believe those activities augur very, very well for the town of Soufrière and environs. In that, just take, for example, the event Rise, where we're gonna have so many persons from across the island coming to Soufrière to participate and to enjoy the ambience and the fanfare that comes with this event. Almost all the Airbnbs, I could assure you, in Soufrière will be booked. So as a result, those Airbnb owners will be generating revenues. Our vendors who depend so heavily, and some of them are from some of the more deprived communities, will be the ones, will be able to sell and participate and generate revenue that will help sustain their family and their children. So at the end of the day, the taxi drivers, the tour operators, the boat operators, all those different, the restaurants, the bars, all those different groups of persons will be benefiting from the hosting of that event, which means that revenue will be coming into households, and those households will be able to support their children, thus resulting in them supporting those children, sending them to school, buying them clothes, buying them shoes, paying the educational bill, paying the health care. And as a result, those kids are not left, fending for themselves and not having to go out there harassing tourists to make an extra dollar, or, get involved in burglary or theft because they're hungry and they can't get food. So, this is how the police support, and it is our job to support those activities, support it in a way that everybody benefits, and that, our job is not to prevent the hosting of those activities, but to support it. And this is my policing mantra. We will, whenever possible, support those activities. However, and the focus of today's program will be the process of applying for the loudspeaker permit and hosting of those events. Because as much as we, the police, would like to support those activities, there are some basic requirements that must be met, right? And a lot of persons who are new to the events and promoting of events activities, they don't know and don't understand. And I always say I commend those persons who are able to successfully put together an event and to have it successfully hosted. And sometimes you get a lot of criticism from persons who don't understand the amount of effort and work that goes into organizing and executing an event. So you have, people with simple little things we criticize. The food was not good, or the lighting was not good, or the VIP was this and that, not even taking the time out to really understand how much work and effort goes into the proper execution of those events. And then now some of those persons who are so critical, they themselves now decide, you know what, I'm going to host an event. And they are at a loss as to what to do, and when to do it. And as a result, do not do what they're supposed to do and expect that the police now will work miracles to allow or facilitate the hosting of the event. The police, I could tell you, under the law, under section 550 of the criminal code, right, must, the person must apply for permission to play loud music or loudspeaker for any event. So if you do not do what you're supposed to do, and there are a series of things you must do before you come to the police to apply for that permission, there are a number of things that must be done before you could get the approval. I see it all the time. People come to my office with just a loudspeaker permit and indicating that they want to host an event. And I ask myself, are those persons mad? Is that how we do things in this place? Because there are a series of requirements that must be met. So I will just read on the, and for some of those persons, because what I have seen is persons have gone about promoting, advertising, their activity and have put nothing in place. They have sold tickets, they have gotten all the drinks, they have gotten all the food, and they have not done some of the most important things, which is getting the relevant approvals from the relevant agencies, and then now, last minute, they want you to bend the rules to facilitate them because they believe that, hey, they've invested so much money, they have purchased, the persons have purchased tickets, and they will be at a significant loss if that event is not hosted. And some of them are so bold that when the permission is not granted, they still believe that they could go ahead with the event without the loudspeaker permit, and let me just read section 550 of the criminal code, and it speaks about loudspeakers, musical instruments. A person who, and that's section 550, subsection 1, a person who, without reasonable excuse, proof of which lies on him or her, in any public place, in or in connection with any business or any other place to which the public is admitted, in any premises or in any vehicle, by operating or allowing to be operated any musical instrument, speaker, or amplified causes or allowed to make any loud or continuous sound or noise, is liable on summary conviction to a fine or imprisonment to 6 months, right? And again, it is not just loudspeaker, but any musical instrument or any continuous noise. So anybody who hosts any activity, right, without the relevant approval, he or she has committed an offense. And the police now can go in and arrest you, right, for violation of section 550 of the criminal code. So we ask ourselves, but why do we need permission? One, it is important that, yes, you want to host your event, but you must also factor that your neighbors, your persons close by, have a right to their own privacy, their own space, that their space not be invaded by your music, by your loudspeaker. And I say that to the drivers of those vehicles because it has become a trend. And I think it is something I've asked for our executive and the police force to come out with, a media bulletin to the public and to those persons who have those speakers on their loudspeakers on the cars, believing that it's okay for them to blast the music. They pass at any point in time during the course of the day or the night, blasting the music, believing that it is their right to play their music. Well, you have a responsibility under the Constitution not to violate the right of other people and the private space. So it is an offense. And again, I will read what subsection D says. It said, a person who without reasonable excuse, proof of which lies on him or her, in any vehicle, right, by operating or allowing to be operated any musical instrument, speaker, or amplified, causes or allowed to be made any loud and continuous sound of or noise, is liable to imprisonment for 6 months. Right? So those car operators who, and it is, I believe it is time that we, the police force, begin to enforce that rules, that, you know, and then we arrest and charge those persons for the loudspeaker. So, and so we were speaking about permission to host or to operate a loudspeaker. Now, as a promoter, as an organizer, you may want to host your event, and in your mind, you are focused on one, generating your revenue, selling your drinks, creating that atmosphere of entertainment for the people. And in your mind, it is okay. You don't need, or you don't think of the negative implications, right, of hosting your event. In your mind is, hey, trying to get as many persons as possible to your event and generating as much profit. But from a law enforcement, from a security perspective, it is our job to look at the implications of you hosting your activity. So, for example, if, for example, just speaking about a promoter decide to go to Font Saint-Jacques to host a masquerade event, there is no discussion with police, there is no discussion with the fire service, no discussion with NEMO, no discussion with, you know, all the relevant agencies to discuss and let them know that this event is being promoted, right? And that activity takes place. And for some reason, some incident happened there where we suffer mass casualties. The question is, what will be our response mechanism for that? Is the fire service ready to be able to transport and deal with so many casualties? Is the Soufriere Hospital capable of handling that influx of persons, them not being aware that you are hosting that activity? Then when you come to the Soufriere Hospital, or when the ambulance do not provide this service, people will complain that they had to wait hours before the fire service arrived. But had the promoter just made the relevant arrangements, then at the end of the day, there would be that level of readiness. So, for example, if we have jazz, we know that we'll be having thousands of persons in Soufriere. The fire service would now, knowing that it has limited fire trucks or ambulances, would now engage other agencies that provide similar services, and as a result would have multiple ambulances on call to be able to respond to that. So they will liaise with Salvation Army, St. John's ambulances, all those agencies, and ask, hey, can you make an ambulance available on that day in Soufriere, because we're hosting jazz, and just in case we have a mass casualty activity, you know, we will be able to respond. NEMO, which is National Emergency Organization, Management Organization, also has a responsibility to be able to coordinate and now be able to pull all its resources together to be able to support any major incident. If they are not aware and they are not prepared for that, how do we expect them to be able to respond? So this is why it is important that when we are planning those activities, that we are aware of what we are supposed to do, when we're supposed to do it, by what timeline we're supposed to do it, you know, so that at the end of the day, all the agencies are aware of what is happening, where it's happening, when it's happening, by whom it's happening, you know, so that they now could put a response mechanism in place so that at the end of the day, we could mitigate the impact of such incident. So it is important that we understand that. It's important that all of us work together, and that everybody is on the same page as it relates to the effective and efficient. It's not only about making the money. Everything is okay until the shit hits the fan, and then now there has to be that level of accountability, and then you have to answer. And clearly, if you are a promoter and you fail to meet the standards, you will be held accountable. You will be held accountable by the authorities for you failing to do what you are supposed to do when you are supposed to do it. So, like I was intimating earlier, I will be speaking on what the procedures are, what are the requirements are for events, what you need to do when you're hosting an event, and that the police should be the last agency you come to, because the reality is the police need to make sure that you meet all the other requirements before, because we are the ultimate authority as to the approval of the loudspeaker. So you could have all your other, we cannot, if the law says that you must have your ECHO license and your solid waste approval, we cannot grant you that loudspeaker permit. So it can't be a case where you come to the police first, get the loudspeaker permit, and then now decide whether or not you want to go to NEMO, whether or not you want to go to ECHO, whether or not you want to go to solid waste to get the relevant approval. So there are a number of agencies that you must engage before you apply to the police for the loudspeaker permit. And the loudspeaker permit from the police is free. It comes at no cost, but the other agencies' approvals may come at a cost. So I will speak about the different activities, the different events that we host, and what the requirements are. So, for example, a car wash where music will be played, you need your liquor license if you're going to be selling alcohol. Anytime there's going to be alcohol sold, there must be a liquor license. Now, if it's an establishment where there is a continuous sale, you have your ordinary liquor license. If it's a one-day activity where for one day you will be hosting or selling alcohol, hosting that event for one day and selling alcohol, all you need is a casual license. It's not a permanent liquor license, but a casual license, which you only pay for the day where you will be where the activity will be held, and that can be obtained upstairs the courthouse, upstairs the post office, and so forth. So if you want to get your liquor license, right, and for anybody who's selling alcohol, the law mandate that you get a liquor license. So you could go to the upstairs the post office and get your liquor license. As long as music is going to be played, you need to get your ECHO license, right? You need to get your ECHO license from ECHO, which is located in Castries, Sans Souci Castries. The office is Sans Souci Castries. You could go on the website. You could apply online for your permit, but then now you have to go up to Castries and make your payments and collect your license up there. ECHO licenses can be obtained from the DJs if one has been employed for your event. So most of the DJs would have paid the ECHO license for an entire year. So if your DJ, if you hire a DJ to play for you, then now that DJ, most of them would have, because they normally play for people, would have had their ECHO license paid for an entire year. And as a result, you now do not have to pay for an additional ECHO license if they already have a license. So the protocol also states that if you're gonna host a solo event, there's no need for an ECHO license, right? For the like I said, car wash, you need your security. If you're going to be selling food, you need to get your health certificate. And that again is important. And good morning, Mrs. Prosper, who's our lead officer in the Environmental Health Department. It is important that we understand and meet the health certificate requirements as it comes to the preparation of foods for those events. Because you don't want, at the end of the day, people come to your activity, they eat, they drink, and then now for them to suffer some major illness because of food contamination. So it's important that you know what are the requirements, what you should and should not do. Whoever is catering for you, that they meet the standards, so that at the end of the day, your organization, your company, your business does not suffer one, negative publicity, two, and a possible lawsuit for the death of somebody due to food contamination and due to the fact that you did not meet the healthcare requirements. So it's important that you do that. So for a car wash, you need your liquor license, eco license, security, and health certificate. If you're going to be hosting a dance, country and western, dance, you need a liquor license, solid waste management plan, and you need to engage solid waste and tell them, hey, I'm going to be hosting a dance, and I need the collection of the garbage after, because after you've sold all your drinks in your cups, on all your plates, on all your different plastics, don't expect somebody will be coming after you to pick it up. So so you need to inform solid waste, let them know that you're hosting an event, so then they now will schedule your garbage pickup for you. So that at the end of the day, the place is cleaned as soon as possible, and that there is no, case where the dogs come and spread the garbage and the place is left unsightly, and that kind of thing. So you need, for a dance, you need your liquor license, your solid waste management plan. Where you engage solid waste, you could go to the office in Viewfort, where they will tell you what you need to do and how much you need to pay for your license, your health certificate if you're going to sell food, your eco licenses, and your security for your dance. If you're going to be holding a karaoke, you need the liquor license, a solid waste management plan. If your karaoke is one that's big enough to bring together a big crowd. If not, your normal garbage collection process would do if you own a business. Your health certificate, your eco license, your security. If you host a fair, a sporting event, cricket, football, etc., your liquor license, your solid waste management plan, your traffic management plan. So take, for example, there is Black Hat football at the Sofra Mini Stadium. There need to be a traffic management plan so that at the end of the day, those persons coming to the event do not cause an inconvenience to the people of Palmace and new development. That they park on both sides of the road and you're trying to get access to your house. You cannot get through because vehicles are parked on both sides, traffic is jammed, and it's creating a nightmare for persons who all they want to do is come from work late from the hotel and they want to go home just to rest, and they have to fight away for traffic. So if there is a proper traffic management plan, there will be traffic officers there who will facilitate the free movement and free flow of traffic. The signs will be erected early enough so that at the end of the day, there is a free flow, there is no inconvenience, and traffic is managed properly. Security, you must have security. You must have security. And what is disappointing to me, sometimes is that persons organize activities and they do not inform the police. And then now they expect the police to patrol their activity, right? How do you expect the police to be there if you never inform them beforehand that, hey, I'm going to be hosting this activity, and as a result, we would appreciate your presence there, right? So it's important that you do that so that the officers on duty could make your event part of their routine policing patrols, and that they now could provide that additional level of security. Yes, you may have your own private security. You may have your own additional private security, but it is important that you let the police within the district know, so they themselves now can support your activity, and then now they could add that additional level of security for you. Just the mere patrols of the police vehicle, that can create an environment of safety and security, where criminals who would want to engage in bad behavior will now realize that, hey, there's a police presence, and as a result, they will not engage in some or what they plan on doing. The police now could patrol, where in your car parks and the other areas where your vehicles are parked, and see if there are any suspicious character looking to break into your vehicle. So it's important that you inform the police of those activities. You need to get your eco license, your fire service assistance, and it is important that you engage the fire service so that, especially for those sporting activities, one of the athletes suffers a concussion or injury at the event. It would be better for that an emergency personnel or first aider is there, to be able to respond immediately to that situation and provide some certain level of care to him even before he or she is transported to the medical facility. So it's important to engage the fire service. And also the fire service is important that if there's a fire, that there is already a fire service personnel there who will be able to facilitate some level of containment of that fire before the fire plans, which is there. So, we do not take those things into consideration when we plan, but it's important that you understand why those persons are part of the requirements. Each and everyone has a very important role, and each of the role now is designed to help protect you and your business, right? Your health certificate and your electrical certification, if you are going to have tent with electricity and all kind of other electrical appliances, it's important you have electrical certification to make sure that, hey, there has been an inspection of that place and that everything is according to our electrical standards. Because what you may have is the electrocution of a patron or athlete or somebody who's at the activity, and that now changes the entire dynamics of the activity. An activity that was supposed to be fun and exciting now becomes one, where it is mad in controversy and negative talk because you failed to do what you were supposed to do. Agatha Nicholas is saying, loud music, we have a problem with it at Upper Victoria Street. Reports have been made and this certain gentleman continues to play his music deliberately. Well, Miss Nicholas, if my officers, you could always contact me. Let me deal with my officers if they are not responding, because like I said, the law is clear about loudspeaker, and anybody who's in violation, the law is clear as to what the penalties are, and people need to understand that. So feel free to contact my office. You could contact my office at 456-3620 or my cell phone at 485-9062. And let us know. Let me know who it is. Let me know which officer you spoke to and why didn't they respond, so that I could deal with it. Because as management, it's my duty to ensure that my officers do what they are supposed to do when they are supposed to do it, that they offer a professional service to the public, and that there is, that there is that confidence that we will do what we are supposed to do when we have to do it. So I am happy that you are bringing that up, and don't hesitate to contact me. And it is your right, when you make a report at the station, you ask the officer to identify himself or herself, take his or her number for your reference, so that when you now report him or her to me, you could reference a particular police officer, and then I now could ask that particular officer what happened with that matter that you received the call on. So those are the things that we need to do. We need to hold our police officers accountable, and that for each and every officer to do what he or she is supposed to do, as a police officer. So, like I said, my number is 485-9062 or 456-3620. Don't hesitate to contact me and let me know. If you're hosting a beach party, riverline pool party, you need to get your liquor license, your solid waste management plan, your traffic management plan, your security, your eco license, your fire service assistance, health certificate, your lifeguard if you're hosting your beach party and your river line. Because at the end of the day, you are asking persons to come engage in, those activities. They're going to be consuming alcohol, they're going to be eating food, and then they're going to be bathing shortly after, right? That is a recipe for disaster, and we have seen it continuously. And, it is important that promoters know those things, because I see river lines being advertised all the time in canneries, all the time. I see activities being promoted all the time at the Super Beach Park, but I have never seen a lifeguard. So this is one of the things I will be looking out for. And if I come at that event as the inspector in charge of the Freshfield Police Station and there's not a lifeguard, I'll shut down your event. I will shut it down, because you must understand that, yes, you want to make your money, but you have to protect each and every person that you are inviting. Because the people who are being invited to come to your activity are coming on the premise that, hey, you have everything in place and they are safe and they are well taken care of. So as a promoter, it's your duty to make sure that these activities is in place. So you need the approval if you own the beach party River Lime, approval from NCA for the use of the beach. People believe that they could just go to any beach and set up. The beach is covered by the NCA, National Conservation Authority. And they have legislation which speaks about using those facilities as much as it's a public place. But it's public if you come in there privately and to relax and enjoy yourself. However, if you're going to host an event, you need to get the approval of the NCA. So at the end of the day, they could now protect their beach. They could now arrange for the cleanup. They could tell you what you can and cannot do at that particular facility. So it is important that we understand that and we put things in place. I have a copy of that particular document. If you wish, you could always contact my office and I could make it available to you so that you are guided by it. Just a few notes: the eco license can be obtained from the DJ if one has been employed for your event. No eco license is needed for solo events. Approval from NEMO and medical support from the Ministry of Health is required for all mass crowd event. Now, what is a mass crowd event? Any activity where you expect over 200 persons to attend. That is a mass crowd. So you need to get your approval from NEMO and medical support from the Ministry of Health. Now, that one is not something you could just go in and walk in and walk out. Because for you to go to NEMO, you need to have your eco license first, your liquor license, your security and traffic plan, your health certificates, right? And then you go to NEMO and Ministry of Health. And then when you have all of that and all the approvals from NEMO and Ministry of Health, then you come to the police with all of that, and then now you get your loudspeaker permit. Right? So do not come to my office with just a permit for loudspeaker with none of the above and expect you will be entertained. That document might just go through the shredder because it is of no value to me. I cannot sign it until you have done everything else that you're supposed to do. Health certificates can be obtained from chefs, cooks, if one has been employed for your event. So if most of the chefs and cooks already have their health certificates, which would have been permitted for an extended period of time because they're involved in that kind of activity on a regular basis. So if you have a chef, all you need to do is ask them for the copy of their health certificate. So some of us would rent a facility to host an event. For example, Whispers Nightclub. You may want to host a country and western at Whispers Nightclub. You'll be the promoter. Don't need to get an eco license or a liquor license because Whispers Nightclub, by virtue of the fact that it is already an established bar, would have his liquor license and eco license approved for extended period of time. So what you need to do is ask the owner of the business place for a copy of that document and make it part of your application so that you now don't have to go and get, an additional liquor license and pay additional monies for an eco license on a solid waste because the area where you are operating is already licensed. So there's no need to add any additional cost. So if you're going to rent a facility, before you do anything, ask the owner, do you have that in place? Do you have your eco license? Do you have a NEMO license? Do you have your health certificate? So at the end of the day, now this facilitates the smooth and expeditious processing of application. Approval must be granted for the use of outdoor events from the relevant authorities, that is public areas, school, beaches, Derek Walker Square, Constitution Park. So if you want to use those areas, like I said, you want to use the beach, you have to get approval from NCA. If you want to use the square, you have to get approval from the town council. Derek Walker Square, you know, those areas, you must get the relevant permission from the authorities. If you want to use the school, there must be permission from the ministry for the use of that facility. The security requirements for your event may vary in numbers depending on the type and size of the event. Now, I will be speaking on the police security and actually as to what is needed when you need a police officer to work at your event. So most times, and your event will not be approved if you don't have the relevant security mechanism in place, being that you need to have a security plan, depending on the size of the event, a traffic plan, depending on where you host an event, and police officers to enforce that security and traffic plan. But for the officer to do that, he or she must seek the approval of the commissioner of police to work the additional duty. You would understand as the promoter that you are the ones now hiring the police officer, and that any action the officer takes at that event, he or she is taking it on your behalf, and that any litigation that may arise out of his action is your responsibility and not that of the commissioner of police, because he is working on your behalf. So as a result, before the police officer can be permitted to work that event, first, the person who or the promoter must complete the Royal St. Lucia Police Force Employee Agreement to Condition of Police-Related Off-Duty Employment form, right? So it's the employer's agreement to conditions of police-related off-duty employment form. And that form, it has the name of the potential employer, the business address, the name of business owner, name of business, business telephone number, and name of site supervisor manager, right? And it is here is a notice to potential employer. You must sign that. And it says that a member of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force acceptance of police-related off-duty employment is conditional upon approval of the Commissioner of Police. A member of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force is required to respond to all in-progress call. The officer's working condition and hours are subject to review by a senior officer of the force. Authorization for the officer to work may be rescinded at any time by the Commissioner of Police. Legal actions arising during the course of police-related off-duty employment shall be the liability of the off-duty employer. Officers who are on probation are not permitted to engage in police-related off-duty employment. So those officers fresh from training school have 2-year probation, so they're not supposed to be engaged in off-duty employment. Officers may not work for more than 20 hours per week unless they have requested and have been granted permission by the Commissioner of Police in writing. A job description and list of job tasks must be accompanying the agreement when it is submitted for approval. Officers may engage in police-related off-duty employment if their powers are in effect and the officers comply with all applicable provisions of the Police Act and the police time order as it relates to police-related off-duty employment. Officers who are engaging in police-related or special off-duty employment are required to be attired in full prescribed police uniform at all times, unless otherwise approved in writing by the Commissioner of Police. Officers who are engaged in police-related or other special off-duty employment are required to carry their police-issued service weapons or off-duty weapons authorized by the Commissioner of Police. So we see, so a police officer wearing a reflector vest is not in uniform. So I see so I see it happen a lot, where police officers believe they could come to work an event in a reflector vest in police. This is not police uniform, and this is contrary to the Police Act and contrary to the police standing order which governs off-duty employment. So anytime you're going to hire a police officer as the employee, it's your duty. It is your duty now to ask the police officer to be present in full uniform. And if the officer comes out of uniform, it is your duty to tell him that you could fire him right there. Because if I come to that activity and I see a police officer in a police reflector vest, I will shut down your activity because the officer is in violation of the act and the conditions of his employment by the Commissioner of Police. And given that now he now has violated, he now cannot provide you security. And now that now means that you now don't have security, which is a requirement for your permission to hold that event. You understand that? So it is important that we follow those little things, that we ensure that those things happen, that the police, so that your event is hosted, and goes on as planned, and that the police officer don't create a situation where he puts you as his employer under any legal or financial strains. Because as the condition, because you will be signed, and a lot of persons, promoters, they sign that document and never take the time out to read the conditions of that document. So I could recall some years ago in Aberdeen Sufre, a police officer was supposed to be on duty. He reported sick that night, went to work the activity, did not have the approval of the Commissioner of Police, and unfortunately shot somebody during that activity, and the person died. Naturally, a police officer, if he, in the execution of his duty, shoots or does anything, he or she, legal assistance will be provided for him by the state because he's working in the capacity of a police officer. But unfortunately, that officer on that day was supposed to be sick in bed. And he left, and he was supposed to be on duty, reported sick, and went to work that event without the approval. So then now, when he now wrote to the office of the commissioner, he was told clearly by the commissioner's office and the attorney general's office that we cannot support you because we were not aware that you were employed there. You were in violations of the conditions of the Police Standing Order and Police Act. So as a result, we are not responsible for you. Now, the family of that decision, I don't think they did follow that. But if they were advised properly, they now could have now sued the organizer and promoter of that event for the death of their family member because you hired somebody in violation of the conditions of employment under the Police Act and Standing Order. So, and that officer eventually was convicted, right, for the death and had to pay a substantial amount of money in compensation, lost his job, lost so much, because he tried to make $200 extra that day. $200 cost him a lot of money, his career, his life. So it's important that we understand that. And like I said, the promoter also could have been held liable by the family for hiring a police officer who did not meet the conditions of the off-duty employment. So it is important that we understand that we adhere to the rules, we follow the rules. If you need to know what you need to do, contact my office. We will provide you with the guidance and assistance. This is our job, and this is what we use those mediums for, Police Forum, to educate and sensitize members of the public on what they need to do as relates to the hosting of events. I see Soufrière is the entertainment hub. As we could see, we have quite a bit of activities being promoted, quite a bit of events. So, and everybody now wants to be a promoter. But for you to be a promoter, you must know what you need to do. You need to know when to do it and how soon you must do it. So, for example, the loudspeaker permit says that, you know, the application should come in at least 10 days, 10 working days before the event, right? So note, application must be made 10 working days for events for less than 200 persons, and 21 working days for masquerade events with over 200 persons, right? So you get an understanding, because there need to be the consultation, the discussion, the review of your security plan, review of your traffic plan, review of all the different plans. So it may go, it may have to go for a number of agencies, right? So to make sure that everything is in place, we ask for sufficient time. So your application, so you don't wait last minute. You promote your event, you promote your river lime, and you promote your boat ride, and you promote, you know, your branch, and you have not engaged none of the stakeholders, and last minute you expect that people will bend the rules to facilitate you. I could tell you, and like we have done in the past, and like was the case with, I think, a few years ago when we have Juve and Soufrière, it was not approved because the requirements were not met. And then now the police officer and the head of the station name is rolling the mud because, you know, persons misrepresent the truth, but they don't come out and say that, hey, they failed to meet their requirement as promoters, as organizers, and that's the reason the activity was not approved. So, you know, I employ everyone, you know, to do what you're supposed to do. We have reached that time. It's 11 o'clock. It's the end of my show, but let me thank everyone for joining us on Police Forum. Let me let you know that Police Forum is back, and that we'll continue to educate and sensitize you on important issues that you may need. Do not hesitate to contact my office or to contact me on the show. I am here. I am here every Friday to sensitize and educate you on police-related matters. So continue to listen to the Police Forum. Continue to contact my office for any information that you may need, any guidance, any assistance, any information that you may have actually as to crime and security within your neighborhood. Let us know so that we now can provide a police response. The police have the crime tip line, which is 555, and the police tip line on the iOS and Android app, where you could now share your information anonymously, and I could guarantee you that a team will respond to your information, and your information will be actioned without your name or information being made public out there. You know, this is why it was designed, to keep your name and information anonymous. Again, I believe I am one, and my team, I think I have a team that believe in confidentiality. Do not hesitate. If there's a need to provide information to the police, don't hesitate to contact our office and to provide that information on a daily basis. Once again, let me thank you for joining us on Police Forum. Looking forward to our next show next week, Friday, God's willing, right here on 88.5 Soufrière FM. So let's have a fantastic and safe weekend. And it was a pleasure being there. Have a fantastic day. A good day.